Hey, we're here, we're back on the podcast, and do you sometimes have real struggles with your entrepreneurial journey? Are you always wondering, like, what am I doing? What is it leading to? You have setbacks, failures, stress, all these problems that pile up. Well, we have Chris Shihadeh here from skylabdigital.com. Now, Skylab Digital is a Scottsdale-based company specializing in lead generation, and Scott began when he was 6 years old with a neighborhood car wash, but that evolved to data brokering, tax resolution, digital marketing, and now he's found success in the per-call industry, which is Skylab Digital. They generate over $20 million in annual revenue with just 10 employees, which is amazing, right? You use the tools, the resources at your disposal to accomplish a lot with a small team. So, Chris, glad to be speaking with you today.
Robert, thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be here.
I'm excited too. And so, what are you all about? We kind of introduced you a little bit, but what currently has you just so fired up, excited, passionate, focused?
Yeah, we're in the pay per call industry is a newer space, newish space that has a ton of potential. I'm really excited to be in our really niche industry. It's a space that you can connect with really great entrepreneurs, really great buyers, and really get great team members. That to me is the success, the formula for a winning team, winning success.
Well, very cool. And so, just to catch us all up, what is pay per call? Because I imagine maybe different people have different ideas. So, like, what is it all about? What's the process?
Great question. So in traditional lead generation, you will put up a website, try to collect information, and then either send them an email or call them or whatever to find out if they're interested or sell whatever you're selling. In pay per call, well, it's a 100% contact rate. So what we do is we're going to build ads, build tons of creatives, place them on different platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, and Google Ads, and be able to run them to our landing page, do a quick qualifier, and then we'll put a call button to generate an inbound phone call. Once they tap that button, they route directly to our buyers, so our different agencies that sell whatever product they're in, and it's a 100% contact rate. So you don't have to worry about generating 1,000 leads. Hope you get in touch with 20 of them or 1,000 or 500 of them. You get 100% of them on the phone, and then you can qualify them from there.
Very cool. So you're saying ads to the landing page and qualify, and then the calls come in, and then you qualify them more. And it seems like a very efficient way of going about it, right? Versus like having the call list, or versus all these other ways like only email marketing or hoping to qualify them on the page. And so, what brought you to this? We mentioned a little bit about how you kind of went from all these different adventures, but why is pay per call so exciting? Why did you land on this as what you wanted to do?
It's kind of an opportunity that presented itself when our current lead gen campaigns, like many people in pay per call, started in traditional lead gen. We were doing lead generation for the mortgage industry for several years before we got more into the insurance space. And with mortgage rates tanking down to 2%, lead generation was really non-existent at that point. We ended up pivoting into the insurance vertical, started testing out pay per call versus lead gen, and it turned out to be a lot better for both us and our buyers. The industry has definitely shifted towards more of a pay per call space than a lead gen space, and it's been a win for all parties.
Well, great. And why would someone want to do pay per call versus this other lead gen? Like, I imagine if someone's willing to overcome that nervousness of being on the phone, they're more of a serious lead. But I mean, you tell me, why should we be thinking about pay per call versus some other alternative?
It's a far more scalable opportunity. And if you really want to build a sizable agency, it's an opportunity that you can really scale notably faster than you can with lead gen. The metrics and KPIs that you look at in lead gen, you end up looking at, it's a different set of metrics that end up being usually better for both the consumer and the agency, the buyer, and also the marketer like us. So usually it's a win-win for all parties involved. There are some downsides to consider, that, with pay-per-call, like if you have one agent, sometimes it can be more difficult because what if somebody calls and you're on the phone, right? It's really built for companies that have a sizable agency of at least 5 to 10 or more people to make sure that you can get out of your seat or go to the bathroom without having to miss a phone call, because then the inefficiencies may happen.
Oh, sure. And so like that's a little bit as far as like what people might not be considering, but sometimes someone might be listening to a podcast like this. They say, "Okay, great, pay per call. Chris gave me some ideas. I'll go and do it, and that's fine." But then it's way better for someone to go like Skylab Digital and have someone set that up. And so like, what are people missing? If someone was like, "Oh, I'll bootstrap it, I'll DIY it," and they set it up and they fail, like what mistakes do you see happening when someone tries to set a paper call themselves?
A lot of times it's not testing enough. It's not building enough creative. It's not testing enough campaign. It's not willing to lose money, which in any advertising campaign is something that you really have to do. You have to be willing to fork up a burn budget, some money you're going to light on fire just to learn data. And if any company that thinks they're just going to spend $1,000 and yield 1,500 is oftentimes sorely mistaken. And that's something that, especially new companies, when you deal with experts like us, then you kind of mitigate that problematic and those losses.
Well, okay. So you're all about the exchanging money for data and trying stuff out, figuring out what works. And speaking to that, it's always fun on a podcast to jump into some stories, right? And figure out like, okay, you had some kind of client come to you and you worked your magic, you set some stuff up, you put people to work, you did those tests, you figured out some results. What do you have along those lines? Like what kind of like client success story do you have for us?
We've been very big in the Medicare space for a very long time now. It's been 6 years, which may not seem too long, but in our industry, there's a lot of people that come and go on an annual basis, and we've grown with all of our buyers substantially. They're writing policies at an excellent close percentage and continuously growing, which is evidence that what we're building and the way that we're reaching out to consumers and explaining the product is very substantial. Right now, we're generating well over 1 million calls a year. On good days, during our busy seasons, we're generating upwards of 20,000 phone calls per day and selling them to our agencies. They're writing a ton of policies on it. So I didn't get all the metrics of what they are, but roughly a 15% close rate on billable call, which is pretty substantial.
Oh yeah, and I love hearing about stuff like that, right? About the volume that's required, and then what you kind of work and you shape. And we heard a little bit about how you started with like the neighborhood car wash, and I'm sure you've been through all sorts of ups and downs, right? Especially something where you're talking about managing people, especially when talking about ad budgets. I mean, it's like it's super scary, especially at first when you're still figuring things out. And so, as far as you and your entrepreneurial journey and this company you built, like what kind of struggles have you gone through? What have been the ups and downs?
Many downs, and fortunately a few ups as well. The downs are hurt. The downs really hurt. Growth is painful, and certainly dealing with employees provides the most growth and probably the most internal struggle, the most hurt that I've had as an entrepreneur. There was a point in my career I had to lay off or fire almost the entire team, everybody except for one person, and basically restart everything from scratch. Was a very challenging point, and didn't think I could do it. I just was in a very negative mindset that I didn't know how to hire. I couldn't build a team. And it's really tough to get good at hiring. I put that as a major goal of mine, and I ended up doing so. it's something that once you get good at hiring, you can build an A-player team, set the expectations, set accountability at another level that you've done previously. And in my opinion, that's how you build a very strong team. That's how you build a team that can do $20 million plus in revenue with 10 people or less. So get good at hiring.
Very cool. And so you're saying you're good at hiring. You said to figure out those expectations and the accountability. And like I think that's such an important understated lesson that you have to figure out people. And it's like if you don't, then guess what? You're the bottleneck, and you've literally built yourself a job. And I know that just like money is such a fickle beast, isn't it, Chris? I know that for so many years, I agonized every little purchase. I didn't think about placing ads. I resisted anything to do with hiring other people because I just thought maybe I was greedy or something, right? And you think about, well, it's not all about you. It's about what you're growing, what you're building. And if you are trying to do it all yourself, it's not sustainable, and it's not something that you can sell later. And so, well, I know like about 5 years ago, I finally got over that mindset, and I was like, what the heck was I doing up until now? And so did you have any kind of like mental blocks of this? You said like there was all these like failures of hiring and firing. Like what changed for you as far as solving the problem?
I think I had to hit rock bottom really with my previous team, and it came to a point where I didn't have a choice. My mental health was at a level that was not sustainable, and I tried just continuing on the motions for the better part of a year, knowing that it was not healthy, and trying to continue on probably for the money, because there was some level of success there monetarily, but not worth it from a mental aspect. And the team was a terrible culture fit. And I've realized that I didn't know how to build a good culture. And these are tough things to admit to yourself as an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur, you have to have some sense of ego a little bit to even think you can try to do any of these things by yourself. And as you get more experience, that starts to suppress, and you start to realize that that you need other people to really take you to the pinnacle. Now, I'm far from the pinnacle, but I realized that I will need to get these skills of building a good culture and building a good team around me in order to achieve both financial success, emotional success, and happiness. And it's certainly not an easy thing to do. I hope that others don't have to hit rock bottom in order to get there, but for me, that's what I had to happen.
Yeah, sometimes that's what it takes, right? If you just keep on being arrogant, stubborn, and resisting, maybe once there's no other choice to change your ways. But like you said, yeah, hopefully someone changes the course before it gets to that. And so it's great to think about, especially it seems like you're tapped into your own awareness and your own goals, right? You mentioned about some of these things like your emotional health and what financial success looks like. And you have to wonder if a lot of people just kind of go through the motions and they're drifting along and they don't really know what they want. And then you end up with just all this randomness. And so like this whole idea of the company culture, I used to think it was like just a bunch of hot air, right? I used to think it was a bunch of fluff. But then once you realize like, okay, well, it means that you figure out your mission, vision, values, you figure out what you believe in and what's not acceptable, and then you get everyone on the same page, don't you? And then when all your people kind of average out with all the everyone's behavior, then if there's some bad apple coming in and they don't match up with your values, you're like, hey, that's not a good hire. And but that's just me just kind of making stuff up, pontificating. And so as far as this sort of scary, intimidating keyword of culture, like what does that mean for you? What have you figured out?
Great question. I believe that the company culture is the owner's culture, and you can hire people that have your culture or don't. And if you don't, then you're going to have like the scenario I described earlier in this podcast. What I found was when I asked people what company culture they like in an interview, they all say the same thing. I don't want to be micromanaged. I don't want to be, you all hear the same 3 or 4 responses. Um, when I'm doing interviews now, I try to weed out people as best I can and make it seem as challenging or as difficult as it is, to make them say, hey, you know what, this isn't for me. And I want people to tell me this is not the culture that I want to be part of. And that's great. That's going to save us both time and heartache and headache, if they were to come in and be the wrong culture fit. And I let them know straight up, hey, look, it's the faster that we can come to this assessment now, the better it's going to be for both of us. And it's weeded out several people that are going to end up being great employees for another organization, but it just wouldn't be the right ones for us. I know early in my career, that was the opposite philosophy. I was trying to sell people of why they needed to work for me because I needed such person. And now it's not the case. Now I need it to be the fit, not the end result. The result, I can teach the result. I need them to be a good fit first.
Well, great. And you hear this sometimes, especially with startups, right? Like someone does like 6 rounds of interviewing at Google, 9 rounds of interviewing at Microsoft just to really like see if it's a fit. And so like, how do you know if it's a fit? Do you have the company culture like explained in a document? Is it written down? Like, how do you know if someone's continuing with you or not?
So there's a couple trigger words that I look for in an interview. I love to hear the word curiosity. I love to hear the word, what can I do more? Like the sentiment of what else can I do? Like what other jobs can I take on? I'm not going to be fulfilled with just this specific role. Maybe not fulfilled is the right word, but like the sentiment of I want to be able to do more. And I want to be able to learn how to grow in other areas. And so these are some things that I look for, or look for sentiments of, or even just sprinkles of within an interview that lead me to say, all right, this person has innovation, which is one of our core values. This person has courage, which is one of our core values. And these are things that you can't really just get a singular word out of them, but I want to hear them talk and say, all right, I can tell that whether you know it or not, this is a value that you will emulate within us, within our organization.
Look, okay, so you want problem solvers basically, right? And someone who's like figuring out alternatives. And I'm all about curiosity as well, and I think that it is underrated, right? Like I heard something about I had some friend who was like talking to like some Gen Z person, and they have this stereotype of like they're always on their phones, and this person like they were asking them about something like pre 9/11, and the kid was like, well, I wasn't born then. Like, what? You have infinite knowledge, go and look it up. And so I think that that's great to think about, as far as especially the entrepreneurism is be seeking problems and be looking for solutions, and don't just like stop and tell me why you can't do something. Like figure out some other way of going about it, or at least be like kind of incrementing towards success. And as far as you shared so much with us here so far, right, about what you built and what's possible with pay per call and what you figured out as a business owner. And as far as like your own kind of internal struggles, right, we all struggle with stress management and time management and the FOMO. Is there anything that you're currently like working on, like bettering yourself? Any area of personal development?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots, but I'd say the biggest one that is, as of late, and kind of my wife is gonna laugh when she hears this, but self-reflection is something that I need to continually get better on. It's an area that is very important, and one of my positive traits is that I make decisions very quickly, and I kind of just I figure out the end result and pivot very quickly. A lot of times that means I won't go back and assess my work as much as I probably should, and assess personally my awareness and things like that. Being able to self-reflect continually is a very important trait that I'm currently working on, and trying to build habits around improving that.
Yeah, and I think that's useful and powerful. And it's easy to kind of go one extreme or the other, right? To just be arrogant, or then to you think it's self-reflection, but it's more of the pity party, being down on yourself, feeling sorry for yourself, and like that's not self-reflection, right? That's not figuring out like where your strengths are and where you could be better. And so, like that's part of why you're here on a podcast, right? Cheaper than a therapist, talking about yourself and about the mistakes, the missteps, and then how you're moving forward. And as far as giving us awareness about Skylab Digital, and you have your proven track record, your data driven approach, your transparent communication. Like, what am I not asking you about Skylab? Like, what should people know that you just wish there was more awareness about?
I think our industry is growing. It's an incredible space, and a lot of people are trying to get in. I'd say this is still the ground floor of pay per call and lead generation in our specific niche. There's traditional lead gen industries, which are typically insurance industries, mortgage related industries, and so forth. But the world and the country need more of these agencies. They need more companies to grow and to be able to provide consumers with comparative outlets to be able to get the products and services they need. And I think it's something that I'm out actively trying to get people to come and enjoy it with us.
Well, very cool. And yeah, like I think it's a really exciting way of going about your marketing and your sales, right? Because there's all this fear of like AI depersonalizing things, but it can hyper personalize, right? It can set exactly the right person up to talk to you and your company. And then on the flip side of that, if someone is in one of these verticals that you operate in where they are looking for a solution or they're stuck in some way and they just need to get hooked up with the right person to solve their problem, it can be a really magical thing. And so, how does somebody know if they're a right fit for Skylab Digital? What are those disqualifiers and qualifiers?
Well, from a business perspective, we're looking for agencies in one of the insurance verticals that we're currently running in: life insurance, health insurance, Medicare, and companies that want to grow their agency. So typically, we have agencies of 5 to 1,000 agents that are taking inbound calls and selling policies for, or anybody that's even interested in learning about it and starting one. Be happy to chat with and try to provide some knowledge or expertise on the lead generation and agency side.
Very cool. Well, if someone needs it, if they're in one of these insurance verticals, they should go to skylabdigital.com. And Skylab Digital designs, launches, and scales and optimizes direct response marketing campaigns that get you loyal companies and better profits. They're a premier marketing agency, and they specialize in driving quality calls and leads to growing businesses through strategic digital marketing solutions. And Chris and his team would love to have a chat with you. You go to skylabdigital.com. There's a form at the bottom there. You can get in touch. You can fill that out. You can put him to the test, right? You can see it, because sometimes you fill in the forms and you hear nothing, but he'll follow up with you, right? He'll shape you, he'll market you, and he'll qualify you, and then you can have that chat and hear about that 4-step process that he has, where they define the objective, develop the strategy, execute the campaign, monitor, analyze, and adjust. And it can be an exciting time ahead for you with new possibilities and these new approaches to getting your leads, to getting your leads problem solved and sparking these conversations. And before I let you go here, Mr. Chris, as people are heading to skylabdigital.com, it's time for the scary part of the show where I try to put you on the spot and I ask you for a quote or lesson that has served you. And you've already given us so many lessons, but as far as like ending the show on a high note, what do you have for a quote or lesson?
Oh, let's see here. One of my favorite quotes in our space is from the advertising master, David Ogilvy. It says, "Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The problem is I don't know which half." And it's a testament to us continuously testing. When he was building creatives ages ago, they didn't have ways to really optimize campaigns as much as they do now. But the overall sentiment of not of never being okay when after you find a winner and still let's find the next one and let's find the next one. And you could have 5 massive winners at a time, but you may have to spend a lot of wasted money to find that. And that's a mantra that we operate by today.
And it's a great mantra, right? It's helpful as far as setting our expectations and knowing what we're going after. So I know half my money is wasted on advertising. I don't know which half. And if you try to tackle this problem by yourself, then it's really easy to fail, right? There's a lot of things that can go wrong. So why not go with Mr. Chris Shihadeh at skylabdigital.com, where they know this stuff, they love this stuff, they can help you get it figured out. They can help with real-time bidding, in-depth customer insight, lower acquisition costs, and quality traffic, where they connect your sales team with consumers that are actually interested in what you have to sell. What a concept. And it's what we want, and it's what you should go after by going to skylabdigital.com. And thank you, Mr. Chris, for showing up, stopping by, giving us so many cool ideas and so many solutions and insights, ahas. I really appreciated what you brought to us.
It was great to be on. Thank you so much, Robert.